Shalom, Israel. This is Brother Kalamad from the Man of Jacob camp. I want to give all praise and honor to the Most High and His Son Yahweh Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elders and honors to you brothers out there that stand up for the truth and defend the gospel. And the video I'm going to go into today, it was kind of, I don't want to say impromptu, but it was just something I was thinking about yesterday. And as you can see, this website, the web page I got up here is called This Is Marriage, and the title of this article on here is The Failure of Feminism. Alright, now you look at today's society, what do you see is mainly geared towards the worship of women and the empowerment of women, and so-called bringing women into equality with men. Alright, now when you go into the Holy Bible, it was not like that. It's not supposed to be like that according to the Holy Bible. Alright, that's not the way that the Most High set it up from the beginning. Okay, but when you come to this captivity in this kingdom, this day and age, everything is turned upside down. Like when you read in Isaiah the 29th chapter and about the 15th verse, where it says, "Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay." Well, that's exactly what has happened in this society under the so-called white man. Alright, but the point I kind of want to get into here is you got all these women jumping up and down. On one side, these so-called independent women, they can do, anything that a man can do, or they don't need a man for anything, whether it be raising child or holding down a household or what have you. Alright, but the same women, we the same ones that complain that there are no good men out there that will step up and be fathers or providers and so on and so forth. But there is a reason why both women and men are jacked up today, and you know what? It started with the women. Really, the source is the so-called white man. He's the one that set all this in motion, but it was a woman by the name of Gloria Steinem who was set up to be the face of what you know as feminism. Alright, she was the face of the so-called feminist movement. Alright, and I'll put up a screenshot or whatever so you could just see the article, and if Lord willing I remember, I'll put a link to that actual article up, which is right here. It's kind of long. Actually, I'm going to get to that later, but I'll put a link up to that article so you can go and check it out for yourself, because it's kind of a long article. But the first scripture I want to get into before I get to the rest of the lesson is this. In Jeremiah 31 verse 22, it says, "How long wilt thou go about, O backsliding daughter? For the Lord hath created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall compass a man." Now, what does it mean, a woman shall compass a man? It means that she is going to exceed him in the original authority that the Most High set up. Alright, when you go into the scriptures, what we're going to get, in fact, I might as well just go into it before I dig into the article. It's 1 Corinthians 11:3. It says, "But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, or Hamashiach. The head of the woman is the man, and the head of Hamashiach is the Most High." So the head of the woman is man. Alright, and just as a side note, usually a lot of these women that go around claiming that they're independent and they want equality and this, that, and the third, a majority of them are so-called Christian women. I know just by talking with them and seeing them out and about, seeing them on the internet. I know that just for a fact. Majority of them call themselves Christian. Here it is. It's safe to say that not all of them believe in the Old Testament, but here it is in the New Testament. It says that the head of the woman is the man. So you don't lead, you follow. Alright? But because of this feminist movement, and because of the fact that these women are so damn retarded and they don't realize that it actually is a feminist movement and an agenda, they want to take the role as being the head and the leader. When them being the role and the leader it ain't done nothing but harm. Speaking of the women of our nation, ain't done nothing but harm and destroy everybody of our nation. That's why our people are running around so jacked up as it is now and in a bad condition. and bugged out. Alright, so let's get to this article. Like I said, it's the failure of feminism. Now, scroll down. I'm going to read, not going to read the whole thing. I already went through it, so I'm going to kind of, get the points out of this article. And like I said, I'll link this article up too, just in case you want to read the whole thing for yourself. But this starts by saying, thanks to Thinking the Right Way for bringing this article to my attention. The women's liberation movement began in order to give women the ability to independently participate in society and be fully appreciated for their feminine characteristics. Somewhere in this movement, somewhere this movement was hijacked by those who would have women believe that their own feminine characteristics were the problem, and that freedom of sex would be accomplished by them becoming more like men. Alright? In other words, they want to become equal. Alright? And like I said, the woman that was put at the helm of that agenda was this woman named Gloria Steinem. Alright? Which she was set up by the elites and the Illuminati anyway, the higher ups. So you would think, and I was saying to myself earlier, you would think if these women were so damn smart that this woman, which was an Edomite by the way, but still, she's a woman, you would think if these women were so damn smart that when they were presented this idea of bringing women up to an equal standard as men and equality with men, then she would turn that down and be like, no, you know what, I'm not going to do that. She would say, well, you know what, I believe in the original institution of marriage and the original, standards of the marriage that are set by the Bible. But she didn't. She took on that because women don't think, and they're retarded. All right, they don't think. They just see the short end of the stick, for lack of a better way to put it. I guarantee you, she was not thinking about how jacked up the society would be here in present day 2013. Hell, even 5-10 years ago. Alright? So I want to keep reading. Women are told that they needed to stop being mothers and instead work to be more sexually promiscuous like men. And that's what you see today. You always see these women that, and especially, and I want to bring this up too. I just watched this movie. A friend of mine recommended me watch this movie that Steve Harvey it's based off Steve Harvey's book. What is it? Act Like a Woman and Think Like a Man. And it's with Kevin Hart. The movie is called Think Like a Man. Basically, this guy Steve Harvey gives all guys so-called tools he uses to get women and have sex, whatever, just get women. He pretty much lays down the whole template on how guys think, and he gives it to women. So now they know how to so-called defend themselves against men, approaching them. And supposedly that book sold millions, alright? And the movie sold a lot too. So Steve Harvey's catfish ass got paid. The point of me bringing that up is that is part of the reason why you got all these women so-called independent. I can do bad all by myself. I don't need a man for anything. You got that attitude running rampant across the women of this nation in America, and particularly the women of the nation of Israel. Alright? Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Issachar, Asher, all them nations here, the tribes of our nation that are here in America are totally wrapped up in that idea that now they can act like men. Because what do men typically do? For the most part, not always, but for the most part, a man might have his woman, his main woman. Alright? Then you have a side piece. That's just the way it is. And the scriptures say that you can have more than one woman. Alright? If you're a man of Israel, you can have more than one woman. So, these women take on that same characteristic. So, and that, what comes from that? You got more and more whoredom. You got more and more disease because these women don't think about who the fuck they have sex with. They raise up children, mainly, if they raise up men, they raise up men without a father in the house, alright? And so their sons, if they have sons, grow up with their attitude, and they were raised up with this same feminine characteristics. All right, just running on instinct, you know. And I'm gonna get to a lot of that later because I was really sitting up thinking about this last night, you know. But let me come back to my thought in just a bit. Let me read through. I'm gonna read this part again. It says, women are told that they needed to stop being mothers and instead work to be more sexually promiscuous like men. Men in turn were told that their masculinity was oppressive and chivalry was inappropriate and fatherhood unnecessary. All right, and guess who told men that? Single mothers. All right. You got this guy Tommy Sotomayor who's always getting on black so-called black single mothers. All right, and that's the case. It's always some single mother who's totally supported by the government because she buys in. She'll get with a man, not like him, end up having children by him, kick him out the house to get child support and get all these other government subsidies. And the only way she'll get those government subsidies is if the man is not in the house. And then she'll put hell on that man. Alright? So, that's driven people to be like, you know what? Men to be like, you know what? I'm not going to have children with you. Alright? Or men will have children and leave them. Which I'm not advocating that. You have a child with a woman, take care of it. But that's the attitude that's put on the people these days. Alright? And it started with women. Alright? Hell, women was the reason why death came into the world. Eve brought death into the world. So you women are responsible for every goddamn negative thing. Alright? Y'all messed up the so-called white man. Y'all got him dying and getting killed and blown. You know what I'm saying? It was your fault. So if you're a so-called Bible-believing Christian and you're a woman, you got to acknowledge that it's your fault. Your gender is the reason why the world is jacked up to this present day. Alright? Let me scroll down. It says here, how did we ever get to the point where we teach women that non-committal sexuality is liberating and should be encouraging, but having a child is shackling and should be aborted? Now, myself, the brother Zakaria Yatazaka and myself did a lesson on abortion, a couple weeks ago, and how they're trying to push basically killing of children up to three years old. You know, you can go back and watch the video. But that's the main thing that they're pushing on our people is abortion. That's why whenever you go around, you see an abortion clinic, it's in a so-called black or a so-called Latino neighborhood. Alright? And I know for a fact that, hell, not 5 minutes from my house, if I go and jump on the bus right now, it will take me right by a Planned Parenthood that is split right down the middle between a neighborhood that on one side is blacks and the other side is Hispanics. Right down the middle. And just the coincidence that the street is on is 7th Street. Alright, so they're completely destroying you people over there in that neighborhood. Okay? So let me keep going. It says, I know this is not what those pioneers of feminism had in mind back then. It is the very opposite of what they considered women's liberation, which that's BS, because even the so-called pioneers of feminism, that agenda was handed to them by the elites. So it don't matter what you had in mind. The elites were running the show. They were the ones that are pulling the strings. Okay? Now I'm going to read these couple quotes. It says, when we consider that women are treated as property, it is degrading to women that we should treat our children as property to be disposed of as we see fit. Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and says here, abortion is the ultimate exploitation of women. Alice Paul. Alright? And the main people getting abortions is that the top of the list is Judah, the so-called black woman. Alright? She is the main one that's leading the charge in this whole abortion thing. Okay? She's the one always up in the damn clinic getting pills or getting, you know what I'm saying? Getting abortions in second and third trimesters. You know what I'm saying? Trimesters, if I said master, Salakia. Let me read this part. It says, with the passage of the 19th Amendment 90 years ago this month, women in the U.S. were given the right to vote. By the way, let me scroll up and see if there's a date for this article. I didn't even look at that. September 5th, 2010. So this article's almost exactly 3 years old. Okay, let me come back. It says, feeling the failure of feminism. Did women get what they bargained for? With the passage of the 19th Amendment 90 years ago this month, women in the U.S. were given the right to vote. The media has been full of stories of the numerous celebratory events, and pundits have been eager to give their analysis of whether or not the goals of the original feminists have been met. The United Families International would like to weigh in on the topic and give your analysis of the legacy of feminism. The feminism that drove the women's suffrage movement could be viewed as America's greatest success stories, but modern feminism has deviated from the lofty ideals and moral underpinnings of its predecessor. Indeed, the goals of contemporary feminism undermine and contradict those of early feminists. One commentator has called feminism the most socially destructive movement in modern times. We will let you decide if feminism has delivered on its promise of equality and empowerment of all women. And like I said, this is actually a true statement. Damn, Salaki, this mouse is all jacked up. But this is a true statement. The most socially destructive movement in modern times, because when you set women up to rule and to lead, they're not, according to the scriptures, they're not supposed to lead. Alright? They're not supposed to lead. They're not supposed to be the head. They're supposed to follow. Now look at how far the so-called Negro and Native American and Latino races have fallen since women have been set up to be in so-called equality. Alright? You got more and more men that are effeminate. You got more and more men that are homosexuals. More and more drug dealers. More and more men that simply pop women and leave them, get them pregnant and leave them. Like I said, I'm not advocating that shit either, but it's women that has set that up, because if you put a woman at the head of the household, then there ain't nothing but confusion. In fact, there's a scripture in the Apocrypha. You know what? Let me grab. Yashawamba likes to bring the scripture out a lot. I believe I know it's in Sirach. Here it goes. Sirach 3:9. It says, "For the blessing of the father establisheth the house of children." So when the father's in the house and he's doing what he's supposed to do according to the Bible, and he's being a man, then the children, the wife, everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be in order. It says here, "But the curse of the mother rooteth out foundations." What's that mean? When you got a woman set up in authority and in charge, what happens? Everything goes downhill. What does she do? She drives the husband out. She hates the kids in spite of the husband. All right? Everything just goes to shit. Excuse my language. She effeminizes. If she has a son, she effeminizes or emasculates him, so he grows up to be a homo. You know, that's what happens when you set a woman up in charge. All right. So let me scroll down. It says here, the hypersexualization. Slovakia. Hold on one second. There it is. The hypersexualization of society. It says here. Oh yeah. Now, first off, before I read this, let me come to 1 Corinthians 11:3. It says here, "But I would have you know," Salakia. Actually, I read that. I'm jumping the gun. Alright, I found my place, Salakia, for that. It says here, "It is widely known that the vast majority of young women today reject the label of feminist. One of the more interesting articles to surface during this month's feminist media push was the one entitled 'Outraged Moms and Trashy Daughters,' where a mother laments that her daughter eschews the label of feminist while embracing an MTV culture and cosmetic surgery attained standard of beauty. Hugh Hefner, a Playboy magazine fame, would be proud. I'm so deeply pained that there are women today, blah, 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 blah. This is probably the part I want to skip over. Let me see here. Okay, hold up. This next part is what I want to read. And like I said, I'm gonna link this article. I'll try to remember to link this in the other article so you can read them. It says here, the age of the rogue male, or age of the rogue male. A recent Harris poll reveals that 8 out of 10 Americans believe that women today are treated with less chivalry in the past. And you know what? I'm gonna say what's his name? Dave Chappelle said it. Chivalry is dead, and women killed it. And he was right. Women fucking murdered chivalry. Why? Because of this fucking this equality bullshit. This equality madness. Because when you tell these women that they're equal to men, and then they not only feel they're equal, they feel they're superior. They look down on men that are trying to be nice to them. So-called stand-up dudes that try to do the right thing, they look down on them. So why the hell are you gonna be nice to something that treats you like garbage? You know? So chivalry is dead. All right. Chivalry has become one of the victims of the fight for women's equality, states PM Forney, Johns Hopkins University. It became the assumption in society that women did not want to be treated in a chivalrous way because it meant they were singled out, thus enforcing the stereotype that women were weaker. And you know what? Women are weaker. It's not no stereotype. That's the fact. According to the Bible, that's the fact. All right? Women are weaker. In fact, let's jump to 1 Peter 3 and 1. I'm going to read all the way down to 7. It says, likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and of wearing gold and, or of putting on apparel. All right, now what is that talking about? Well, it mentions it in Isaiah 3 as well. How you got these women going around, they dress super provocatively. Hell, they're on these websites dressing provocatively, walk around with their tits and their ass out. All right, and another thing too is on these a lot of these websites, you got these women that are a lot of these like dating websites. You got these women who will. And what I always say is the worst thing a woman can have is a smartphone. That's why if you're talking to some woman, just be careful what the hell you say. Alright? Don't come on there acting what they call thirsty. Because these smartphones, you texting them, they can snapshot you if you're saying some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? And I always see it to where you got dudes that are you got dudes that will clearly be out of line. Alright? So to speak. But then you got dudes be on these females' pictures who'll be just asking them what's up, this and that, and then they'll screenshot them and say that they're thirsty, you know? It's like, what the hell are you talking about? If you own there, how are you going to call somebody thirsty, but then you're on a photo showing your ass and tits? And you got the nerve to call somebody thirsty. If I see you in a picture dressing hella provocative with your tits out and your ass poked out, yeah, I'm gonna be what you would call thirsty, all right? If you want to put a word to it, that's exactly how I'm gonna feel. I'm not gonna be thinking, man, I want to get into her mind. No, I'm gonna be like, well, man, I wonder what it'd be like to lay down with her. That's what I'm gonna be thinking. So if you're gonna say that, if you're gonna call somebody thirsty, you better not be one of them women up there showing yourself. But that's what women do, all right? So they dress like that to get to catch men and get attention and shit. But the scripture, like we're reading right here in 2 Peter 3 verse 3, is not supposed to be like that. Alright? So it's like it for that little rant. But verse 4 it says, but let it be the hidden man of the heart in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of a meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of the Most High of great price. For after this manner in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in the Most High adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. What does it mean to be in subjection? Sub, under, and inject means rule. Alright? So they're under the rule of their own husbands. What does it mean if you're under the rule? It means you're not equal. Alright? You are unequal. You are beneath the man, like we read in 1 Corinthians 11. Okay? Verse 6, even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. Are you going to get that these days? I wish I would be walking somewhere and roll up on a married couple and be listening, and then she hops up and calls him Lord. I would probably lose my damn mind. I wish I would hear something like that, you know? But you ain't gonna get it these days. You'd be hard pressed to find that. Not of our nation, not of Israel, you know? Whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. Let me scroll down. Now here's the point. Likewise ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge. Give honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel. That's the point. The weaker vessel, as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. So she is the weaker vessel. So it's not no damn stereotype coming to this article where it says here they were singled out, thus enforcing the stereotype that women were weaker. No, women are weaker. All right. There was just a female I know the other day who's always talking this madness about, she's got 4 kids and then kicked her man up out of the house, always dogging him. But then the other day she was talking about, can anybody help me? I need a plumber. Oh, are you going to get a female plumber to come over there? No, it's going to be a man. So whenever you get jammed up in a situation, you always call for a damn man. Alright? So you women need to cut that madness out and just accept the fact that you need men in life. It's just the way it is. Alright? Far worse, as Feminism broke down all sexual barriers and demanded an unrealistic equality, the worst part of the male behavior and the worst males are rewarded. Males who have no other use for women than to use, violate, and abandon them are not restrained by women or society. And like I said, I don't condone dudes just, if you're gonna deal with a woman, deal with her, unless you go and deal, with a prostitute or something. Can't just fuck a woman and that's that, especially if you get her pregnant, and a lot of dudes do that. But guess what? They get that attitude because they're not raised by their fathers in a large majority of the cases. Alright? And if they are, the dads ain't shit. Marry women? Why? Even many of those who adhere to the old standard of male-female interaction seem to misunderstand the meaning of masculinity and are lost in the malaise of ineffectual dating and ineffectual care seeking. They too are following the feminist template. Alright? Now let me scroll down. This part I skimmed through. There's another point I want to get to though. Here we go. I believe this is it. It says disintegration of marriage and family. Radical, or what is sometimes referred to as second-wave feminists, believe that marriage is the playground of patriarchy for the oppression of women. They have concluded that motherhood is a primary obstacle to the empowerment. And let me make sure. I think I did skip something. In fact, hold on. Let me come back up. In fact, I think I did want to read this. So I like it for that. No, let me keep reading. So I like it for that. I just want to make sure. It'd been easier if I printed this out. It says here, let me read this again. It says radical, or what is sometimes referred to as second wave feminists, believe that the marriage is the playground of patriarchy for the oppression of women. They have concluded that motherhood is a primary obstacle to the empowerment and full equality of women. Both traditional marriage and full-time motherhood had to go, and an entire restructuring of society had to occur. You see the results of their effort all around you. A divorce rate that has increased by 80% since 1970, 40 million children affected by divorce, more than 50 million women living alone, spiraling rates of STDs, and 1.3 million abortions a year in the U.S. alone. All this is a result of feminism. All this is a result of women being put in so-called equality and putting in charge. This is what you get when you bring women up on a level, so to speak. This is what you get. Does any of this seem positive? All right. And just it said raging spiraling rates of STDs. Hell, it's reported that black women over at least 50% of them have herpes. Where does that come from? From them hoes sleeping around. Sleeping the hell around all the damn time. So this is what you get when you set women up. Alright? Says here, there is a feminist mantra, I can do it myself. This attitude, and I mentioned that earlier, this attitude also includes the bearing and rearing of children and the jettisoning of the normative understanding of family. Husbands and fathers seem to be superfluous to many women, particularly those who choose to bear children out of wedlock, yet the females have not lost the need for a companion, a father, or a breadwinner. And yes, these women, they won't admit it, but they do know that when, like I said earlier, when it comes down to it, they need a man in their life. You can't do it all by yourself. It's not possible. You cannot do it all by yourself. A man can go, if he needs to go get his thing off, he could get him a prostitute, all right? Or if he has a side piece, whatever he's got to do, and then he could pay his bills, do what he got to do, and if he has to, raise his children. And he could do that. You women know you can't do that because you're not equipped for that role, all right? It's just not the way it is. All right, and even if you do so-called bring up children, and they're not going to be raised up properly. All right, they will not be raised up properly. They're going to be raised up thinking like you. It says, as men who fulfill those roles no longer take their place, as men who would fulfill those roles no longer take their place, these women increasingly turn to the government for support. This is what I was looking for. Turn to the government for support. They are the greatest supporters of the government subsidies and are angered when the taxpayer isn't eager to give enough support to daycare, government health care, even school lunches. In short, they choose to have the government become their husband. What radical feminists seem not to realize is that by exploding the family, they are destroying the very institution that has protected and provided for women over the most of the human history. So it mentioned here up here the government subsidies, all right, how they basically turn to the government for support. Well, let's go to Isaiah the 32nd chapter. It says here, Isaiah 32:9. It says, rise up, ye women that are at ease, hear my voice, ye careless daughters, give ear unto my speech. Many days and years ye shall be troubled, ye careless women, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Now, what is it talking about? The vintage shall fail. What is a vintage? That's pretty much where you go get your grapes at. It's part of your crops, part of your harvest. All right. Now, let's come here to Edom online because I looked up vintage. And Blue Letter. It didn't really give too much detail, but when you look here, it says mid 15th century harvest of grapes, yield of wine from a vineyard. Alright, and it goes on to say, a lot of other stuff, so on and so forth. Now, back in the ancient world, you could do a lot with grapes, because like I said, you could just take the grapes, you could make wine with the grapes, you could have your fruit, this and that, and what else could you do with it? You could sell it so you can make a living, alright, and get income, alright? Now, if that fails, then you ain't gonna have no money. So, what is that vintage today for these women? It's that government, because it's the way that they have these assholes, independent women. It's the way that they have to mooch off the damn government, so to speak, and mooch off the people, and be damn leeches and parasites. Because a lot of them, they're single mothers. They got Section 8. All right, they kick the man out of the house. They pay 30, 20, $15 for rent. All right, but they're always the ones that are out in the club, fronting and perpetrating. But guess what? When that vintage fails, when that government fails and turns on you, then what you gonna do? You gonna be troubled. That's why it says many days and years shall you be troubled. Because when that goes down, that's when the hell's gonna come. Okay? It says here, tremble you women that are at ease, be ye troubled, ye careless ones, strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. Alright, and guess what? They are careless. Women are completely careless in this society. And it's going to come back to bite them real soon. Alright? I'll come back to this article. Life and abortion. It says here, one of the most tragic results of second wave feminism is the notion that the only way to achieve full equality is to be able to have total control of their body. They have been successful in convincing women that the only reason they are now oppressed chattel is because they can legally kill their unborn children. Some feminists have gone so far as to say that you are not a woman unless you support abortion rights. Consider the feminist response to 2008 Vice President candidate Sarah Palin. You have to lift their skirts to find out if they are women. Sure, you can find. You sure can find. Salaka, you sure can find out by how they vote. Open Democrat Representative Janice Satani translated, if females don't support abortion and other feminist objectives, they are surely not women. So they're really making a push for this damn abortion madness. Alright, they've been doing that for a while. It says here, United Families International's efforts on the UN are largely dealing with radical feminists and other dangerous and unhealthy focus on empowerment of women. They do it to the exclusion of what might be necessary for the health and sustainment of other segments of society, namely men and boys. Their intense and relentless efforts to legalize abortion around the world have resulted in 42 million abortions per year. That means every year 42 million babies worldwide are being aborted. And we read earlier there was 1.3 million a year here in America. Alright? So, at the end of the day, you women are the scriptures lay down a strict guide code, alright? Guide code or guideline, Salakia. And these women ain't following it. And this feminist movement has a lot to do with it. Alright? Like separating a marriage. We kept reading throughout the scriptures, throughout this article, that how they do away with marriage, alright? How they push to where a woman don't need a man, and this and that and the third. Hell, well, the scriptures say otherwise. In fact, let's read Matthew 19:4. I'm going to read down. It says, and he answered and said unto them, have not ye read that he which made them at the beginning had made them male and female, and said, for this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Wherefore they are no more twain but one flesh. What therefore the Most High hath joined together, let not man put asunder. So the Most High designed it to where man and woman get married through sex, have children, and that's the order. And the man is the head of the household. But guess what? The so-called white man has totally put that asunder. Alright? He's completely put that asunder. Because he's trying to turn things up. He is turning things upside down because he wants his own wicked rule to go, vibration to go out. Because he's completely against what the Most High and his son Yahweh Shai set up. Okay? Now, the last scripture I want to read, I probably missed my point, but I just want to read this anyway. I missed the point I wanted to read earlier. It says here, this is for women. This is how you're supposed to be, pretty much. 1 Timothy 5:10. Well reported of good works, if she have brought up children, if she have lodged strangers. In fact, 1 Timothy 5:9. Let not a widow be taken in the number under 60 years old, having been the wife of one man, well reported of good works, if she have brought up children, if she have lodged strangers, if she have washed the saints' feet, if she have relieved, if she have relieved the afflicted, if she have diligently followed every good work. But the younger widows refuse, for when they have begun to wax wanton or undisciplined against Hamashiach, they will marry, having damnation, because they have cast off their first faith. And withal they will learn to be idle, wandering about from house to house, and not only idle, but tattlers, and also busybodies, speaking things which they ought not. And that's how the so-called women act. They're always running around gossiping. That's what they call it. Alright? I will, therefore, that the younger woman marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully. For some have already turned aside to Satan. So this is how women are supposed to carry themselves. Not be out there drunk and partying and promiscuous, being whores and sluts, alright? And having sex and dealing with, laying down with every Tom, Dick, Harry, and Susie, and Valerie, and Jenny, and whatever names you want to throw out there. She's supposed to be guiding the house, bringing up children, alright? Keeping the house in order. And then the husband is the one who's supposed to be at the head of that, taking care of business and bringing in the money and so forth and so on and so forth. Alright? This is the order it's supposed to be in, but you know what? It's not in this society. That's why at the end of the day this society has to be destroyed. And 2/3 of our people are going to be destroyed. Alright? And then that's when this society is destroyed, and this the government of this entire world, the so-called white man, is destroyed, that's when righteousness is going to be set back up. Okay? So, with that, I hope that was edifying to those who watch. I just say shalom.